So I just recently read Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, which is the tie-in novel to the Fallen Order series that takes place between the first and second games, and after finishing it, I was inspired to take a closer look at the Inquisitorius that was established by Darth Sidious and ran by Darth Vader himself to see how effective they really were at their job, that being hunting and killing the lucky few Jedi who survived the infamous Order 66. So in today's video, we will be taking a look at the origins of the Inquisitorius, their members, and how each typically fared in battles we've seen them in against their light side counterparts, the Jedi. Years before the end of the Clone Wars, Sidious had laid the groundwork for his contingency plan should Order 66 fail to eradicate every Jedi. Knowing that the clones, or whatever military group he created following their unceremonious retirement, would not be able to hunt down and kill all the Jedi, he planned to capture Force-sensitive children and train them in the ways of the dark side, so when the time came, his soldiers could be unleashed upon the galaxy to hunt down and destroy any remaining Jedi Knights. Not only this, but Sidious kept a watchful eye over the entire Jedi ranks during the war, on the lookout for any and all who had doubts about the Order, knowing that he might one day be able to sway them to his side. As Anakin was always his prize, the one who would join his side as part of the Rule of Two, his Force-sensitive recruits could never be considered Sith, and since his plans to capture Force-sensitive children was thwarted, this was his only option. These former Jedi were not made into Sith, instead they were made members of the Imperial Inquisitorius. Stripped of their former identities, they were given the title of either brother or sister with a number to identify each individual. However, it seems they were still allowed to keep their names, just not allowed to refer to one another by them. While these numbers may seem important, they don't actually mean anything and are not meant to be used as a form of rank, skill, or power level. However, there was an exception, that being the Grand Inquisitor, who was anointed as the leader of the group just under Darth Vader, who was in direct command of the Inquisitorius. The Inquisitors were each trained by the ruthless Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, one of the most powerful Force users of all time and most skilled duelists to ever live. During their training, each Inquisitor was tortured and mutilated so their ability to tap into the dark side was enhanced. While each member was skilled, Sidious tasked Vader with bringing out their full potential. And again, while they were not Sith, the typical Inquisitor had to be powerful enough to track down and destroy any Jedi in the galaxy, but not so powerful that they could threaten Sidious's position. After all, there were powerful Jedi Council members whom the Inquisitors would have to face, such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Eth Koth, Luminara Unduli, and even Grandmaster Yoda himself, not to mention all the other Jedi Masters and Knights out there who could pose a serious threat, such as Seer Junda. They'd even need to prepare for encounters with former Sith like Darth Maul, so their training reflected the seriousness of the situation. Vader would have them prepared to face any threat. There is a common misconception out there that the Inquisitors are extremely weak, and I think this is due to the fact that when we see them lose, they do so spectacularly. Third Sister was getting absolutely embarrassed by Darth Vader, multiple Inquisitors from the Fifth Brother to the Seventh Sister and more getting bullied by Ahsoka, or the Grand Inquisitor losing to a Padawan who got no additional formal training up to that point following Order 66 and the death of his master, Depa Billaba. But each of these are extreme examples. Darth Vader is arguably the strongest Force user in the entire galaxy. Ahsoka, by the time of the Rebellion, was considered on the same level as Vader and even Sidious. 99% of Force users would be dominated by either of these characters, so for the Inquisitors to lose really isn't all that shocking. So let's take a look at their actual Force ability and skill to determine really how powerful they were. So, as I mentioned, the Inquisitors were trained to be powerful enough to fight not just Jedi Padawans on the run, but Masters as well. Second Sister Trilla Suduri is one of the deadliest members of the Imperial Inquisition and faces off against Cal Kestis on multiple occasions. She considers herself equal to her master Seer Junda, at least where Force techniques are concerned, and I don't think that's too far off. She's stated to be an expert lightsaber duelist and adept in the Force. Despite losing to Cal Kestis in their final battle, there is a reason for this. Second Sister was conflicted, being drawn back to the light by Cal and her master, Seer. Confliction is essentially the worst thing for a Force user in the Star Wars universe. It brought Anakin down from beyond Yoda level to beneath Obi-Wan. It took Kylo Ren from arguably Vader level to losing to Rey, and it took Second Sister from Jedi Master level to losing to a freshly knighted Jedi. This is supported further when Cal admits he would not have won if Trilla was not conflicted, and he was afraid to ever face another Inquisitor as he did not believe he could win, showing us that Inquisitors are more than a match for pretty much any Jedi Knight. The fifth brother is probably the most prolific Jedi hunter we've seen within the series, as he's shown up in Darth Vader's comic book run, Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and most recently, Jedi Battle Scars. Fifth brother could be considered the most powerful in terms of overall dark side ability of any Inquisitor not called the Grand Inquisitor. After all, he was next in line for the title. He uses his strong connection to the dark side to overpower the opposition, amplifying his physical traits to levels that are devastating for any Force user to contend with. And before I get into the next section, I would like to warn you that there are spoilers for Jedi Battle Scars, so if you'd like to read that before the game without spoilers, skip to the timestamp on screen. In the fifth's battle with Cal, he bullied the Jedi Knight into submission. Cal was forced to use multiple stims, but still lost, and lost spectacularly. If not for his new master, Seer Junda, fifth brother would have killed Cal. While fifth brother was eventually incapacitated by Seer, he only needed 1 second of opportunity to turn the tables, where he was able to send Seer flying, take her lightsaber, and nearly end their entire team for good. Later in the story, Cal, BD-1, Merrin with her most powerful spells, and a reanimated corpse battle the fifth brother together, and were still losing. Despite the numbers advantage, fifth brother was wearing them out, Cal using stim after stim, and still being caught with a lightsaber strike across the face, scarring him. It wasn't until the area around them collapsed that they were able to narrowly escape. To dig into this a bit more, Cal and Merrin were able to defeat fallen Jedi Master Terran Malicos on Dathomir, which is a dark side nexus. So Malicos would be amped beyond normal levels while on Dathomir, while a light side user would not be able to take advantage of this. Merrin would also be amped on Dathomir, so I'd consider their amplifications a wash. With that said, the duo did defeat Malicos, but could not overcome the might of the fifth brother, who would not be amped in their fight. Cal, with Merrin and her most powerful spells, were losing to fifth brother and would likely have met their end had the fight continued. But the most powerful of the Inquisitors is the Grand Inquisitor. A former Jedi Temple guard, he was the best choice for the position. While Sidious and Vader knew the Grand Inquisitor was not a match for either of them, he was still more than a match for any of the other Inquisitors. Considered by all to be the most powerful of the group, he can be seen toying with Kanan Jarrus in multiple duels. Darth Vader admitted that the Grand Inquisitor was skilled, and he was considered second only to Vader in the dark side, excluding Sidious, of course. And he only ever lost to Kanan, who was amplified to the point where he was basically one with the Force, letting the Force completely dictate his movements, something the Grand Inquisitor simply couldn't overcome. And here's a quote from Freddie Prinze Jr., the voice actor of Kanan, who sheds a bit more light on their final duel. That's where the Force takes over, not the Jedi. The Force takes over, Kanan versus the Grand Inquisitor. That's Kanan releasing his fear and his attachment and sort of being like water. This is a Force overpowering moment. So for that moment, between the two of them, that's a Force explosion. Kanan isn't controlling that. That's the Force dictating what's going to happen to him. And to support this even further, he's just blatantly stated to be far more powerful than either Ezra or Kanan. While the Inquisitors don't have many impressive showings on screen, when you look into it, they are extremely formidable. It's just unfortunate that every time they show up, they're fighting the strongest Jedi and Sith in the galaxy. Even Ahsoka at the end of the Clone Wars was an elite Jedi who could go head-to-head with General Grievous and even survived Order 66, so her easily defeating an Inquisitor at that age is not that surprising. The Inquisitors keep getting set up to look like losers, despite their power. We have much more Inquisitor content on the way, so there's only more to dig into as we proceed with the universe, but I wanted to shine a light on this often overlooked part of Sidious's reign as the Emperor. Let me know what you guys think of the Inquisitors down below. Would you like to see more of them? Would you like to see them in more fair fights? The best fight we've ever heard from them was in a novel that we don't really get to see. It's only in written word, which, you know, again, kind of sucks for them. So let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more Inquisitors and which ones you'd like to see return in the future. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe. It does really help us out. And remember the motto, it's the Inquisitorius over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.